Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, October 10th Yellow Springs Planning Commission meeting. Do you want to do the roll call?
I do indeed. Greene.
Here.
Zaremski.
Here.
DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Osterholm.
Here.
Also present is Solicitor Amy Blankenship, Planning and Zoning Administrator Meg Leatherman, and Interim Village Manager Johnny Burns, who is here. Actually, Public Works Director Johnny Burns. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so this evening we're going to review the minutes from the September 12th meeting. We're going to go over any communications that have come to the Planning Commission. We're going to get the council and committee reports. We're going to have an opportunity for citizen comments, although it doesn't seem like there's anybody here. And then we have one public hearing on the final plat for the Spring Meadows Phase 1 project, then old business, new business, agenda planning, and adjournment. So we're going to start with reviewing the minutes. Hopefully everybody took a look at them. If there's any changes or anything to the minutes, you want to go through them page by page, or you're just okay with doing a voice vote to accept them as is? All right.
That one.
You want to? Okay.
So is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All right.
And so, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Were there any communications?
There were not.
Okay. Do we have a active transportation committee report?
No, and I actually have just a quick question for this group in terms of what might be the expectations for that, because I have not been providing reports from Active Transport, partly because the Active Transport Committee hasn't really been involved in anything that affects Planning Commission. So,
Then that would be your report.
okay.
In a similar fashion, Gavin has the council report, and he doesn't report on anything that's not relevant to Planning Commission generally. So, same thing.
Okay, well
No
then I
problem.
would just say there's no activity that's relative or pertinent for Planning Commission right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Gavin, do you have a council report?
I do have a council report. I think the Housing Committee was on here too. I'll just note that the Housing Committee will be meeting in November. So there's nothing to report now, but there will be after November. I think the 9th is my next meeting. Yeah. Okay, council report. Water, wastewater, supervisor. This is my words, all my words. Water, wastewater supervisor Brad Alt presented regarding upcoming changes in EPA regulation of PFAS, or forever chemicals. He has been conducting tests in anticipation of the regulations and indicated that while one of the village's 4 wells has shown the presence of one type of PFAS, he is conducting further testing to try to isolate location and is considering several strategies to address this issue once more guidance is received from the US EPA. I'll just say, if you're interested in this stuff, good presentation from Brad. You could watch it from the full last meeting. And then council begins the budgeting process for 2024 on Thursday, October the 12th. That's this Thursday at 9 a.m. and should conclude that process with a budget ordinance for the first meeting of December. So there are several steps along the way between Thursday and the first meeting in December. Those are my updates from council.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and no housing committee report, so this is an opportunity for citizen comments that don't relate to the public hearing. There's nobody here, so then we'll go on to the public hearing. So the first part of that is the staff report for the Spring Meadows Phase 1.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm just going to give an overview of the project and highlight some of the decisions that were made in the past, and then stand for questions. All right, this is a Phase 1 final plat application for Spring Meadows subdivision located at 402 Wright Street. Public notice was mailed to adjoining properties on September 29th. Signs were posted on the property to notify the public of the public hearing on October 2nd, and we published a notice in the paper, the Yellow Springs paper, on October 6th. I've prepared a staff report that outlines the applicable code and findings based on my review of the facts, and sent that to, or actually Judy sent that to the commission on October 6th, and we provided a link to the staff report on the website on the same time. On April 12th, 2022, the preliminary plat for this subdivision was approved by the Planning Commission for 90 lots with 90 single-family homes on 23.02 acres. The applicant previously submitted a final plat application after that approval for the entirety of the subdivision, which was heard and approved by the Planning Commission on October 11th, 2022. The application was subsequently withdrawn by the applicant so they could revise the plat in order to build it out in 2 separate phases, and you have phase 1 tonight in front of you. The subdivision section of our code requires that the applicant construct all the public improvements prior to council approval of the final plat, or that they bond for the public improvements, and so that's why they decided to withdraw it and submit it in 2 separate phases. That is the only change between what you previously saw before you and approved, and now what's before you now is just less acreage and phased out into 2 separate phases.
So, and you said before that there will be, this is just, we're just doing the approval for phase 1 right now.
Yes.
There'll be a second approval for phase 2.
Correct. The final plat application tonight is solely for phase 1, which is 15.51 acres and 59 lots with 56 single-family homes. And phase 2 will have 31 lots on 7.51 acres. And they're planning on coming back to the Planning Commission with that phase 2 application beginning of the year, I believe, but they might be able to update you more specifically on that time frame, but it's a couple months out, is my understanding. In front of you, I have provided you 1 sheet from the final plat. The other sheets were just signature sheets in larger format, so you could see it if you want to pull it out and reference it. I'm going to go over some of the open space requirements and what they're providing in reference specific lot numbers, so you can refer there if you'd like. So the final plat application, again, is solely just for phase 1 and consists of 59 lots with 56 single-family homes, 3 open space lots, 15.51 acres. I checked the lots, and the lots exceed the minimum lot area requirements, which are minimum of 6,000 square feet and the minimum lot widths of 50 feet. The majority of the homes range in size from about 6,000 square feet or just over to about 8,500 square feet. And there's 2 access points like before on Kenneth Hamilton Way and another on N Wright Street. And the roads are proposed or constructed, almost partially constructed at 50-foot right-of-ways with curb gutter and sidewalk. The Phase 1 final plat has a total of 3.30 acres of open space area, of which is on this phase, just on this phase, is 0.46 acres of what our code requires of park land dedication. And there's a distinction somewhat between open space and park land dedication that I'll go into a little bit here. Our village code section 1226.07 requires specifically park land dedication for subdivisions over the size of 5 acres. And the land required through this section of code must be active recreational use, specifically a park or playground or other type of recreational activity. The code spells out a calculation to determine the total land required based on the number of new residents and allows for a combination, though, of land contribution and in lieu fee. This Phase 1, the applicant has agreed to dedicate 0.46 acres of land to the village. That will be as a park for the village, and to purchase and install playground equipment valued at $75,000 or more. And if you're looking at the paper plat sheet in front of you, this is what's represented on lot 57. So that entire lot is to be dedicated. And I specifically will call this out as a condition as well. And then incorporate it into the public park system at the village. The ongoing maintenance, therefore, is the responsibility of the village. So in addition to the 0.46 acres of parkland dedication required, the applicant has provided 2 other open space areas. One is a buffer area in the southwest corner. This was talked about and requested by the Planning Commission at the preliminary plat hearing to provide a buffer between the development and the existing residential subdivision. This is approximately .088 acres, and it's lot number 59. This is to be maintained by the homeowners association. A second area, which is comprised of 2.76 acres, is depicted as open space on the final plat as lot 58. It has the retention basin for stormwater. And this, again, will have, be the homeowners association responsibility for maintenance and upkeep, but it also will have a natural path that runs through it and connecting the streets to the playground area as well. So in summary, it's this, for phase one only, it's 3.03 acres of open space, of which .46 is parkland dedication that's specifically required through the code. And then the buffer area, .088 acres, and then the drainage pond lot, including the drainage pan area and path, which is 2.76 acres. Another kind of housekeeping item that I wanted to point out, the applicant is requesting a variation to the subdivision regulations, which is allowed through our code section, and the subdivision section of the code, 1226.10. Approval of the variation will allow for a side yard setback of 5 feet minimum, total of 10 feet. And without the variation, the applicant would have to eliminate the side overhangs of the roof line on the structures, which would be less appealing to most people, not maybe everyone, but it also provides for a wider variety of floor plans to fit on the lots, which will create more option for home buyers. In order to be able to include the same number of buildable lots and develop the suitable stormwater system, this variation is necessary and supported by staff. The property is identified in the 2020 Comprehensive Land Use Plan as desirable for residential development, and based on the findings in my staff report, I recommend approval in addition to the conditions that are provided in detail in the staff report, but relate to the topics I just made. So I'll stand for any questions.
So the park, does that apply, is there going to be a second park for the phase two? Or does the park go for phase one and phase two?
It is for both phases.
Both.
There is additional open space areas and additional dedicated open space area for the village, but that's only one park.
Okay. And this is it's going to be a retention basin? It's going to be actually standing water there, or it's, okay. Not
Yes.
just drainage, okay. But the design of that isn't shown, it's just shown, it's going to be somewhere there?
The design was already approved previously. This is just the plan.
Okay.
And then, yeah, for further questions, if you could just come up to the mic so that everyone can hear it on the thing, that'd be great.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you again. Thanks for having us tonight. We are super excited about our project. Everything is gone very well.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. Clayton Sears, DDC Management, 3601 Rigby Road, Suite 300, Miamisburg, Ohio. Project's gone well. Everything has gone as planned. Everything is being constructed as planned. We've ran into no difficulties, and the plat you see tonight is as was presented to you previously. And I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. Any questions?
I have one question, but it's having to do with phase two.
Yep.
That back when you first presented this off, I had a question about, in the very north central part of phase two, the potential of, not phase two, the north central part of the full development, about whether it would all be possible to include in a pedestrian and bike way going from that street up through, sort of like a stubbing up into there's some open space up there and whatever, and was told it's too late to consider something like that, and even then, it would be a suggestion.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, since you held back on phase two, does that reopen phase two for fine-tuning adjustments at all?
So I don't believe we can change our preliminary plat that was already approved.
Okay.
That would require some additional some additional work on the preliminary plat, and we wouldn't want to amend that at this point.
Yeah, okay.
But we are providing utilities up through that north, as you had mentioned.
Yeah, okay, okay. Just was wondering, thank you.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. Other planning commission questions? Okay, so if there's no other questions, then we're going to open the public hearing.
Perfect.
So consider this open if anybody wants to ask any questions or say anything about the Spring Meadows Phase 1.
3 minutes.
Okay, Leah, 3 minutes? Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Tony Dosick. I'm the project director of Livable, Equitable, Age-Friendly Yellow Springs. We are one of more than 800 age-friendly communities in the U.S. and one of 13 in Ohio. I'm here to request that the Planning Commission strongly encourage the builders of Spring Meadow to make 100% of the houses visitable. Visitability refers to a single-family or owner-occupied house designed in such a way that it can be lived in or visited by people who have trouble with steps or use wheelchairs. A house is visitable when it meets 3 basic requirements. 1 0-step entrance, doors with 32 inches of clear passage space, and 1 bathroom on the main floor that you can get into in a wheelchair. Making a house visitable is not the same as making it handicapped accessible. It just needs to have those 3 things. There are some costs involved in that, but they are very low. 1-step entrance on a concrete slab, the cost is 0. 1-step entrance over a basement, the cost is $250. 5 doors at $2 more per door than narrower doors is $10. The folks at visitability.org estimate that 25 to 60% of all new houses over the lifetime of the house will have a resident with a long-term severe mobility impairment. We would like to request that 100% of the homes built in Spring Meadows be visitable. I might add that I looked on the builder Fisher Homes website, and I noticed that they have 2 homes that I think they're describing as possible models for Yellow Springs, and one of them looks like it's already visitable. It's built on a slab, and it looks like it has a wide front door. I couldn't tell from the pictures if the bathroom door was also wider, but it doesn't look like this would be a big stretch for them. So I'm encouraging Planning Commission to encourage Fisher Homes to use that model, if it truly is visitable, in their building of Spring Meadows. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure that that's a planning commission thing. It may be more of a zoning thing, but anyhow. Any other comments?
Yes. This is Emily Seibel, and I have comments as both a private citizen and in another through my work. So do I need to, how do I navigate that? So I guess first I'm speaking as a private.
Clarify your personal and then.
Yeah, okay, right. So just as personally, I think at one point we had been, Clayton and I and Denise had been talking about removing the buffer lot from the HOA. Is that's still something that we're pursuing?
We'll have to talk through it and see if we can do it.
Okay, so because I think we're thinking about an alternate arrangement for that buffer site. So is that something that we would just bring up with you separately, or would we, do we need to do that right now, or?
Probably separately.
Okay.
Looking at my attorney. Yeah, probably be best.
Okay, great. So we'll follow up with that.
Yeah.
You, okay.
So, just my only question on that is, are you not also approving the subdividers agreement here, which does include that information?
Subdivision agreement's already approved.
Yeah, it was already approved.
Well, I would seem that was already determined then. Is that not in the subdivision agreement, that the HOA is
Let her
responsible?
finish your comments, and then we can flesh them all out if we want to. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. Just Clayton had approached me like right after the preliminary approval about our potentially purchasing that buffer lot and keeping it open. And so we had talked to Denise about having that removed from the HOA CCNRs. And I think that was just sort of up in the air and would be something that we'd have to,
If we're able to do it, we will. It would just depend if we're
Yeah.
able to or not.
so I don't know if we're able to or not, but
Regardless, it'll maintain a buffer and open space, but whichever way it does happen.
anyway, I just wanted to bring it up just because I saw that when it said the HOA would be in charge of that area, that was just not what we had talked about before. And so I just wanted to make sure that I said something before everything was totally finalized. But maybe it's already been finalized, I don't know. But we can follow up separately about that.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Chair?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
So is that all you have, Emily,
So-
private citizen?
Can I just add, so just to be clear, the question on the table is, at least it's in this document, the Lot 59 will be maintained by the homeowner association. Is there something that we do tonight that we have some, like, are we about to lock something in that we could not lock in? Or is it like, is there some flexibility? I don't,
Well, I think of course, maybe the attorney, Amy could talk about this more, but I think like, our thought was that it would be maintained as open space, but, so I guess that's part of the approval and a part of the criteria, but it wasn't like specifically code mandated, like, it wasn't a section of the code that required that to be open space. It was something that was asked of the planning commission during the preliminary plat hearings. So with them being the ones in control of the homeowners association moving forward, I think it's somewhat, would be up to them, but I don't know, I wasn't part of the discussions like between Denise and wasn't aware of that agreement or whatever verbally that was occurring, so it's a little bit hard on the fly.
After it was approved by Planning Commission, then Clayton reached out to me the next day and said, would you be interested, if we were going to sell it, would you be interested in purchasing it? And I said, well, yeah, let's talk about it. And so we got kind of down the line in the discussion, but I wasn't planning to come and talk about that. When I saw that it would be managed by the HOA, I thought I should probably just say something to clarify.
If we're able to transfer it, we definitely have no problem transferring it.
So then-
It's going to be a matter of if we can or not.
Right.
So if it's part of something that's supposed to be managed by the HOA, but could the HOA sell it to?
I would assume not.
Should we just go through all this right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Share your time.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it is contemplated as open space. It is on the plat. It's in the subdivision. So could it be transferred at some point in the future? Yes. Johnny's been talking to the engineer at Choice 1, and there would be deed restrictions on the property to keep it from being developed because it is reflected on the face of the plat as open space. But what you're doing tonight, it does put it under the purview of the HOA to maintain it. I would still recommend that you do condition it that way because we, the village, don't have any intention of ever taking it on for maintenance. But then there would just be restrictions on it in the future if it was ever transferred. Does that help?
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry. No,
That's great. Yeah, no, it's just that I feel like that changed a little bit from when we were first talking about it, but it's totally cool. So, all right. So now, as a representative of the Inclusive and Resilient Yellow Springs Coalition, we just met. That's why Tony was here talking about accessibility. But we also have a real interest in seeing this project be marketed not only through traditional channels, but also using affirmative marketing and outreach techniques. And Yellow Springs Home Inc. would be more than happy to share our contacts for affirmative marketing and outreach so that we've already analyzed the census data to see who's least likely to apply for to purchase homes. There's also a 365 brochure really focused on celebration around the Black history and culture in Yellow Springs that we would love to share. And I guess we're just encouraging, inviting, and it would be great if Planning Commission also was encouraging affirmative marketing and outreach to further fair housing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So there's no other,
So
yeah?
is it appropriate just to ask, like, you heard these comments about the visitability and the, fair housing things. Is there anything you want to say in response?
So we're just a
Do you mind just coming up? Sorry, just so the video people.
Yeah. We're just a developer, but we will pass on all information to the home builder, which would be Fisher. They would do the marketing, they would do the building, and then, what's the other one?
The visitability.
Visibility, and there's 3, wasn't there? Affirmative action.
Outreach.
Affirmative marketing and outreach.
Affirmative. Yes. So I would be happy to send those contacts on to the builder and let them reach out directly themselves, for sure. Be happy to do so.
Okay. And just, so Clayton Fisher is building all the homes? Is that the
Correct.
plan?
Fisher will build all the homes. Correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? So we're going to close the public hearing, and if are there any questions for anything that we need to address?
Can I ask a question of our
Yeah.
attorney? So, sorry, just to make sure I understand 100%, we still want him to say the condition about the homeowners association in his motion?
Yes.
For that lot that she was
Yes,
asking
I would keep all
about?
the conditions the same.
Okay.
And those conditions reflect, how it's spelled on the face of the plat. So,
Right,
yeah.
they do. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, then we need a motion. Does anybody want to? I could make a motion on this. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the Phase 1 Spring Meadows plat, and with the variation to allow the side yard setback of 5 feet minimum and 10 feet total for eve encroachment, for Lot 57 to be dedicated to the Yellow Springs prior to the issuance of the final certificate of occupancy for Phase 1, for Lot 58 to include the meandering natural path that will connect Kenneth Hamilton Way, run between lots 8 and 9 to Snowdrop Drive, connect lots 57, 58, and the natural path and retention basin will be maintained by the Homeowners Association, and Lot 59 will be maintained by the Homeowners Association.
I'll second that.
All right. You want to?
Any other questions before I call?
Hold on, let's take a quick time out.
So the final, it should be the final CO of the entire community. Once the community's built out, then the park will be dedicated, not just the final CO of phase 1.
Okay.
So, final certificate of occupancy.
Phase
2. Oh, for phase 2.
Okay.
Phase 2.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if we need to put a phase. The last house could be in phase 1. We don't know necessarily where the last house will be.
Okay.
But just the
end it
final
there.
CO.
Take out phase
Just
For
take out
phase-
phase, yeah, the
okay.
final CO of the community.
Okay, so we're amending this to say Lot 57 will be dedicated to the Village of Yellow Springs prior to issuance of the final certificate of occupancy. So basically what that means is that before the last house is finished, this will be done. Okay, excellent. All right. Other, okay.
Variations, okay, we're all good with that. All right, Osterholm,
Yes.
Zaremski,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
Yes?
Greene.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Congratulations. All right, so that concludes that public hearing. Now we're going to go on to old business, which is goals review.
Oh, my apologies. I gave you that before we pulled goals review off because
Oh.
Meg's been working on putting together
Okay.
a document for folks with information and suggestions and really being able to direct that conversation, and she just wasn't able to have that prepared for you for this
That's fine.
conversation.
We're going to table that. So then, is there new business?
No, no more upcoming
Nothing? Okay. And so that's agenda planning? Do we need anything else? Do we,
Nothing coming up?
nothing? Okay.
Everything's just in the
Nothing
works
yet.
still, nothing, no one's ready to move, take the next step to actually submit something yet.
All right. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second. I'll say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right, this concludes the October 10th Planning Commission meeting. Thank you all for attending.
That was a great first meeting, Stephen.
No,